Is it true that gluten-free is healthier? Wow, you must be losing so much weight now that you're eating gluten-free. Oh my gosh, I could never diet like that. Give a like below if you have heard any of those comments before when you mention going gluten-free. Let's talk today in this video about whether gluten-free actually is healthier and how to find your definition of healthy. There are so many myths out there that going gluten-free is instant health. If you're new to the gluten-free diet or you've been around for a while, you know that going gluten-free doesn't change your health overnight. So let's talk about whether gluten-free is healthier or not and how to define your definition of healthy. Years ago, gluten-free became this diet that went around as a weight loss diet. People were excited. They were seeing weight loss on the gluten-free diet. They were starting to feel better. They were starting to get their energy back. And they determined it was all because they no longer were eating gluten. During that time period, it became very common to demonize gluten as this horrible thing. Nobody should eat gluten. Everybody should go gluten-free. Now that was 15 to 20 years ago, and we know a whole lot more now, thank you science, than we did 15 to 20 years ago. Those people who were seeing such great results on the gluten-free diet likely had some form of celiac or gluten sensitivity. Those people who were seeing the weight loss likely were eating more whole foods and less processed foods. So there is this giant misconception that every single person who goes on the gluten-free diet is instantly going to lose weight, be healthier, and get all their energy back. Now, that could be true, but it depends on how you eat gluten-free and ultimately what your definition of healthy is. Just because the label on something says gluten-free doesn't mean that your body is automatically going to love it and that you're automatically going to see results by eating just that food. So let's talk about how to define your version of healthy and what healthy actually means. If you were to look up healthy in the dictionary, you would find something along the lines of a part of the body that's not diseased or indicative, conducive of promoting good health. What does that even mean? Because there are so many vague definitions of what healthy means, and society has its own set of definitions of what healthy is, it's really hard when somebody comes to me as a gluten-free coach and says, hey, I need to start eating healthier. I look back at them and I'm like, well, what does healthy mean to you? Having your own definition of healthy is key because I might define healthy as eating all whole foods and no processed foods. I might define healthy as having a plate full of proteins and veggies. I might define healthy as simply eating 7 to 8 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. There's so many different ways that you can define healthy, and when you're starting to look to meal plan for your family or yourself on the gluten-free diet, it's really important to have your individual definition of being healthy so that you know exactly what types of foods to look for. Because if you went to Google and you searched for healthy recipes, you are going to find millions and millions and millions of recipes, and they might not meet your definition of being healthy. So let's do a mini self-check-in together to figure out exactly what your definition of healthy is. Grab a notebook because this is one of those that you're going to want to write down your answer. For starters, this can be a definition as to how you define healthy, how your family defines healthy, how the people you live with define healthy. All of those can mean different things. So I recommend starting with your definition of healthy and building out from there. So the first question to answer is, are there any foods besides gluten that you should be avoiding in your day-to-day health? For example, should you take out dairy because you are lactose intolerant? Should you be taking out corn because you find that when you eat corn, you're bloated? Is sugar a problem for you? Start to list out the different foods that you need to be taking out of your diet along with gluten, since we are here because we're trying to make sure that we are eating a gluten-free diet for our own individual health. The second question you need to answer is, are there any foods you need to avoid for other health reasons? For example, are you diabetic and can't eat sugar? Do you have high cholesterol and should you be avoiding red meats? Things like that, because all of those different ones will play into your definition of healthy. Personally, I have no problem with sugar, but I know other people who can't eat sugar. So it's very important to look at these because that to me is fine. To others, it's not. The next question you need to answer is what's important to you when planning your meals? Yes, this is things like budget. Is it kid friendly? Is it easy? Is it balanced? Again, your definition of healthy might be different than my definition of healthy. So when I look at a meal, I look for at least half of the plate has a vegetable on it, a quarter of the plate has a protein on it, and a quarter of the plate has some kind of other carb on it. So I might make a burger bowl that has a quarter cup of rice, a quarter pound of turkey burger, and then a whole lot of veggies put on top of it. The last question you should be asking yourself is, do you feel like you should be making better choices that would fit your definition of healthy? So for example, do you feel like you should be increasing your vegetables day over day? Would that make you feel healthier? Do you need to increase the amount of fruits you are eating? Should you be increasing proteins? Things like that. Take a second, write it down, and start to look at how this is all coming together. There is no shame in where you're at right now. This is a judgment-free zone, and this is something that we keep in mind when we start to build out our meal plan for the week, which we're gonna start to talk about more in the next video. Inside of my gluten-free meal planning workshop, we talk about taking your definition of healthy from start to finish when building your meal plan. It's the foundation of what you will do when you're finding new recipes for your gluten-free diet. It's critical to have your own definition of healthy. So take some time now and look at everything you've answered in the questions and take a minute to write out 1 or 2 sentences to how you would define healthy in your own words. Is it eating more vegetables? Is it making simpler meals that your kids can enjoy with you? Is it simply just, I need to start eating gluten-free because my body depends on it? All of those are perfectly fine definitions of eating healthy. Comment healthy below if you found this exercise helpful. Bonus points if you feel comfortable sharing. I would love to hear what your individual definition of healthy is. Something you may find over time on your gluten-free journey is that your definition of healthy evolves. Going back through this exercise every few months will help you ensure that you're still following your definition of healthy and that you're building your meal plan around foods that work for you and your family. If you've ever stood in your kitchen at 6 p.m. and wondering, what should I be making for dinner tonight? You're gonna wanna watch the next video in this series. We are gonna talk all about building your go-to meals and what a go-to meal actually is. Here's one thing I will tell you. It's a term that I coined and it will make a whole lot of sense once you watch the next video. Trust me, it will be a game changer for a busy season of life.